Hey, what's up, everybody? What's up, my patrons? This is a complimentary quad, man, and it's a complimentary quad for Amy Brooks. Amy, thanks very much for your recommendations, man. Also, thank you for providing links. What Amy has sent us, man, is music featuring punk rock band Television. Now, this works out really good timing-wise. This is going to be the very first of my new series, my what I call my fusion rock series, alternative slash fusion rock series. And why this was born was that as my channel becomes bigger, sometimes the lines of defining what classic rock is according to how I see it. Sometimes it's not challenged, but it's questioned. And so I realized that there is a slight alternative to rock and roll. I mean, rock and roll isn't pure rock. So there's always going to be a little bit of overlap. And so one with an open mind, as I pride myself to be, I thought about it and I thought, hey, you know what? Maybe I can have some sort of like a alternative slash fusion rock series, keeping things isolated so that it isn't just always mixed in with the main body of my classic rock reactions, thus alienating my bigger demographic of classic rock followers. So I thought of this series. So what I'm going to do here, man, is I'm going to start with Amy's quad, and for Television, featuring the songs See No Evil, Venus, Elevation, and Marquee Moon. I'm going to have a lot more to say about the idea of diffusion rock in the next couple of minutes. But what I'm going to do structurally with this reaction, man, is Amy sent me a note, and there isn't a lot of detailed information about the songs per se, but there is a really, really good bio that she sent me. So what I'm going to do in between the songs is I'm going to read little bits of that bio until we come to the end, and that should fill in all of those nice blanks. Not so much song details, but more album and band information, which works just as well, man. So let us start with our first track, that being See No Evil. All right, Television, See No Evil. Let's get it. He has a touch of Mick Jagger going on in his voice, doesn't he? They're good musicians. When it comes to punk rock, they're not just slamming their heads around and thrashing on their instruments. They're good musicians. Pull down the future with the one you love. Good. It's a really good song, man. Good positive song. I see no evil, meaning that he is not a judge. He's not a judge of character. He's not a judge of individual choices, manner of expressions, or all of those different things. We have our caste systems and our beliefs and our structured way of life, and we judge other people based on our beliefs and our way of living and our opinions, when there are varying ways of going about things, differing opinions. So he's saying that he is not a judge, and what he wants to do is he just wants to embrace life the way he wants to do it, and pull down the future with the one you love. I like that. So it's a very, very positive song. He's reaching for something on a higher level. He doesn't want to be petty and be a judge of petty issues. Good song, man. Good musicians. They harmonize well. When you say punk rock, a lot of the times you've got this, there you go, caste system, automatic knee-jerk reaction belief that, it's just a bunch of guys with long colored hair just banging their heads around and not having any kind of semblance of structure or arrangement. But no, these guys are good, and they go way back. I guess they had their beginning in the 70s. And so it was just kind of growing the scene. But they're a little bit leaning more on the rock side than the punk side. It's just a shade of them. And that works, especially with the idea of this channel staying closer to the classic rock signature sound. But overall, yeah, good group, man. Excellent. They sing very well, very clear. Like the lead singer, he's like... voice-wise, I'm getting an impression of a cross between Mick Jagger and the lead singer for the Talking Heads. The way he expresses his singing. I can't remember the lead singer's name, and I just did a Talking Heads reaction a week ago as well. Anyway, man, good song, good beginning. Television, See No Evil. Excellent. So what I'm going to do here, man, is I'm just going to introduce the band according to Wikipedia. Oh, before I get going, apologies for my loud ass neighbors. They're up already. 6 a.m. on a Saturday. Doesn't anybody sleep in anymore? I'll be moving soon. Alright, so what I'm gonna do here is introduce the band real quick, and then I'm going to start reading little bits of their bio, and their bio comes from pitchfork.com. And so little bits of patches here and there. And Amy sent me some info between pitchforks, between Wikipedia, and also from Songfacts. So I'm going to start reading Amy's little note real quick, and then I'm going to start to introduce the band. So Amy says, here's my quad, 4 songs from the seminal album by Television called Marquee Moon. I'm including the songs in album order, except I put Marquee Moon last because it's so epic, it might be hard to follow. I also have links below for Wikipedia and Songfacts on the band, album, and one song. I could only find information on Marquee Moon on Songfacts. Also a cool article inspired by the album's 40th anniversary from pitchfork.com. Hope you enjoy. Thank you, STB. And she's got like a whole bunch of exclamation points after STB. So that's cool. I don't know if she's excited just because she's talking to me, or she's excited because of her quad being done. I think it's about her quad being done. All right, man. So that was See No Evil. Let me introduce the band real quick, and then do just maybe a paragraph from pitchfork.com, and then we'll get on to our next track. So, band info. Television. Television is an American rock band from New York City, most noticeably active in the 70s. The group was founded by Tom Verlaine, Richard Lloyd, Billy Ficca, and Richard Hell, or maybe it's Heel, but it's spelled Hell. An early fixture of CBGB nightclub and the 1970s New York rock scene, the band is considered influential in the development of punk and alternative music. Although they recorded in a stripped-down guitar-based manner similar to their punk contemporaries, Television's music was by comparison clean, improvisational, and technically proficient, drawing influence from avant-garde jazz and 1960s rock. The group's debut album, Marquee Moon, is often considered one of the defining releases of the post-punk rock era. So that's Wikipedia's outline of the band. And here's a little bio intro from pitchfork.com. In '74, an unknown band named Television convinced CBGB nightclub owner Hilly Crystal to let them take over the club's typically dead Sunday night, unwittingly kicking off New York's punk scene. Though Television could lay claim to getting there first, the band lagged behind its Bowery peers in actually releasing a full-length LP. Patti Smith's Horses hit stores in '75, and the self-titled debuts of both Blondie and the Ramones soon followed in '76. With a volatile lineup and a mercurial frontman in Tom Verlaine, a fan at the time might have wondered whether the band would ever get around to painting their masterpiece. Finally, on February 8, 1977, Television released Marquee Moon, a debut well worth the wait. That month, the NME's Nick Kent called the album a 25-carat inspired work of pure genius, a record finely in tune and sublimely arranged with a whole new slant on dynamics. Other records might wither in the face of such a rave, but 40 years later, Marquee Moon remains a singular achievement that transcends the punk rock label and still sounds fresh. It's a classic from start to finish. And this gent here, Nick Kent, he's talking about the entire album, not just the song Marquee Moon. Alright, man. So that's a little bit of the bio. We'll read a touch more later on, so just kind of keep a cap in where we were, or keep a pin in where we were. Let's get to our next track, that being Venus. Alright, man. Venus by Television. Let's get it. same singer from the first song? Okay, man. Venus by Television. I feel as if I'm missing a few things with this song, man. I like the song, I like the structure, the musicianship, the singing. Nice, great vocals from the singer. And I like, of course, how he's is it like a slight call and response? Is that what you would call it, between his backup singers asking him questions along the way? Would that be call and response? But anyway, overall, I like the whole structure of the song. The meaning of the song, though, I'm struggling with. First off, Venus de Milo. What is that? Who is that? What does that mean? I'm not quite sure. I'm going to have to Google that. But is that something... something that I should know? I feel like I should know who or what Venus de Milo is, and it's evading me. And I'm getting the impression from the song overall that he seems a little bit bewildered, maybe, with being in the big city and having so many different types of people. He's describing Broadway as a book with flipping pages, I believe. So I get the impression that he might be bewildered about who he is fitting in, and Venus de Milo, in the arms of Venus de Milo. Could Venus de Milo be some sort of brew, cocktail, beer, or booze, seeking some sort of comfort? Let me know what that is, because I'm still not pinpointing what or who or what Venus de Milo means. So I'm probably going to feel stupid when you tell me, because it's probably very obvious, but I'm just not catching it. Overall, I like the song, though. I would listen to it again, but I definitely have to know who or what Venus de Milo is going forward. For sure. All right, man. So let us continue our read here of their pitchfork.com bio. And Yeah, so we left off with them getting onto the scene and making quite an impact and rubbing shoulders with the likes of Blondie and the Ramones. And I guess they were probably one of the regular fixtures of the CBGB club. So let's continue here. So looming at Marquee Moon's direct center is the album's title track, clocking in at just under 10 minutes on the original vinyl release. Reissues include the full 1040 tape, and featuring an exploratory Verlaine guitar solo. Marquee Moon is miles away from the Ramones' minimalist rock antics or Blondie's iconic pop moves. For precedence, we'd have to go back to the expansive West Coast psychedelia of Paul Butterfield's bands East West, or even the Grateful Dead's twin epics Dark Star and The Other One. Even if the mid-70s crowd at CBGB would likely shudder at such comparisons. To celebrate 40 years of Marquee Moon and the album it defines, let's trace the song's history. Okay, so Marquee Moon, the song, is definitely their big calling card. So apparently Marquee Moon, the album, was even less punky when Verlaine first imagined it. Marquee Moon was written about 3 years ago, and actually it had 20 verses to it. Okay, no, so they are talking about the song here. He told melody makers Caroline Coon in 1977, quote, "It's a song I used to do on acoustic guitar, but there's no recorded evidence of this mellow embryonic version. The earliest Marquee Moon available to collectors comes from a lo-fi rehearsal tape recorded at television patron manager Terry Ork's loft in early '74. The interlocking puzzle pieces of the song are roughly in place already. The opening guitar's unmistakable Morse code stutter, a thudding bass pulse played here by Richard Heel, and guitarist Richard Lloyd's nagging riff, a subliminal nod to the horns on James Brown's I Feel Good. As with most of the band's Hell-era recordings, he left the group in early '75. It is a ramshackle thing with helter-skelter rhythms and barely in tune instruments, but the abbreviated end, with all involved racing towards the finish line behind Verlaine's shivering solo, hints at the heights they'd reach in the coming years. Later in '74, riding a bit of underground hype on both sides of the Atlantic, television recorded a demo with Brian Eno and Island Records A&R man Richard Williams. The demo didn't result in a record deal, but it did leave us with an initial and still official unreleased glimpse of what could have been. For a more detailed dive into those tapes, check out this previous Invisible Hits column. Okay, and so there's an attachment down below here. Ultimately, Verlaine and Lloyd weren't fans of the overall sound Eno, Williams, and engineer John Fausti cooked up for them, but their Marquee Moon is a solid attempt, if not a magisterial as the song would become. The best part comes right after the ascending climax, as Verlaine's cascading piano washes over the listener. It's a moment that looks ahead to the more keyboard-heavy approach of Adventure Television's sophomore effort. Okay, so yeah, they're really talking heavily about the song Marquee Moon, which is our very last track. Amy said that she put that last because it's so epic. All right, man, so let's bounce to our third track, and that being Elevation. Okay, television, Elevation. Let's get it. breaks are so sudden. Really keeps your attention, doesn't it? The anticipation. Great musicianship. It grows on you, doesn't it? It's part of the charm of the song, 7 shifts. Okay, man. That was Elevation. Those sudden shifts, man. It makes you feel as if it gives you a start. Makes you feel as if you're missing something. But then you realize, okay, no, this is the pattern. This is a part of commanding your attention and changing things up and keeping you on your toes. Very good. Good structure, man. Yo, these guys are really skilled, man. Excellent musicianship. The singer is really, really good. He's crisp, he's clear. I don't have to strain to understand what he's saying. I like the way he expresses himself. In the first song, it was a mix between Mick Jagger and the singer from Talking Heads. But the last 2 songs, this one, Elevation and Venus, I'm getting a little bit more of him being more akin to the singer from the Talking Heads. I can't remember his name, but he sounds very much like him, very complimentary of his not only singing sound, but also the way he expresses himself and leans into certain verses. Really, really excellent band, man. Yeah, I've never heard of these guys. But then again, I was just so far removed from anything resembling punk rock in my growing up. But yeah, and these guys are more on the side of rock, and their musicianship is excellent. So, yeah, the song Elevation. What's he singing about? Is he singing about an actual physical point of escape where he's just taken off into the mountains and he's chilling, and when you're up on the mountains and you're maybe overlooking the ocean, things come more clear to you? He's sitting in a state of being isolated and just kind of being with his own thoughts. Is that what he means by elevation? It's what I'm visualizing when he's saying elevation. You don't mess with me, and you don't mess with my mind. So I think that maybe he's singing about the actual physical elevation, or is he singing about something else, maybe being under the influence of a substance or something? Let me know. That's a little bit fuzzy, but I'm visualizing him literally up on a mountaintop somewhere, overlooking an ocean, and kind of having all of his good thoughts come to him with clarity. Let me know what you think about this song. All right, man. So, where did we leave off? So we read a little bit after Venus, and so let's just finish off the bio from Elevation, and then we'll get to Marquee Moon. And Marquee Moon has a little bit of info from Song Facts. So we'll just finish off this pitchfork.com bio here, 2 paragraphs. So, television earned a devoted audience during their time as regulars at CBGB, but the band wasn't universally beloved by any means. They reminded me, I don't know who's talking here, so quote, they reminded me so much of the Grateful Dead. Just boring solos, Lester Bangs of Rolling Stone. Lester Bangs complained in Conversation, reprinted in Richard Meltzer's A Whole Like All the Rest. Rolling Stone. Endless, laborious climbing up in the scales, then get to the top, and there'd be a moment of silence, and everybody in the crowd would go berserk applauding. Bangs was likely referring specifically to Marquee Moon, which became a fan favorite at CBS as television began stretching the song well past the 10-minute mark. So if this Marquee Moon is their absolute best song, this guy, Lester Bangs of Rolling Stone, is just tearing it up just because it's different genre. I gotta find some way in my mind to like Rolling Stone, find something great about them. I'm still struggling with that. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. It's actually a bit surprising that the renowned critic didn't find more to like. He and Verlaine shared a love of raw garage rock and challenging free jazz. Thanks to crude audience tapes and 1975 and 76, we can hear Marquee Moon come into its own on stage. To my ears, these performances are worthy of berserk applause, as Verlaine and Lloyd's intertwining guitars shoot off considerable sparks, while new bassist Fred Smith and drummer Billy Fica find a transcendental rhythmic zone beneath them. Can't wait to get to this song, man. I make so many mistakes when I play. Now, who's this speaking here? Okay, it's Verlaine. Quote, I make so many mistakes when I play, it's just that people don't pick up on them, Verlaine told Rolling Stone in 77. There are any number of ways to get from one place to another on the neck of the guitar that I don't know about. Modesty notwithstanding, Verlaine's 6-string skills have deepened considerably by 78, when television played its final show, before 90s and 2000s reunions, of course. And there were no better showcase for their skills than the nightly ritual of Marquee Moon, which usually served as the band's pre-encore closure. We've got a few officially released 1978 performances to choose from, one drawn from the ROIO cassette, The Blow Up, another from a San Francisco FM broadcast. Both are fantastic, both perhaps the finest Marquee Moon of all. Taped a few days after the San Francisco show in Portland, Oregon, remains officially unreleased. Here, the song balloons well past the 17-minute mark, but not a moment is wasted, as Verlaine's Quicksilver solo, with shades of Brit folk guitar hero Richard Thompson, builds and builds over his cohort's fluid backing. If he's making mistakes, you won't pick up on them here, and if you listen closely, you might just hear the sound of lightning striking itself. Okay, man, so that was the pitchfork.com bio, and forgive me for my patchy reading. There's a whole bunch of parentheses and commas and slides and dashes and all kinds of different things. It kind of confuses you about reading fluently. All right, man, let us get to our fourth track, that being Marquee Moon. Let's see if I agree with Lester Bangs. That'd be a first. All right, Marquee Moon. Let's get it. Yeah, it's almost 11 minutes.
hesitating.
Bass lines and then have the guitars come in. Life in the hive puckered up my night. Kiss of death, embrace of life. Stand over Marquee Moon. This guy's a very deep thinker. His songs all deal with internal challenges, some inner turmoil, mostly overcoming and becoming something. That's the basis of his songwriting. Their music is as deep as his thinking. I'm assuming it's just the lead singer that does the writing. Berlin. Very nice extended instrumentals. I can understand its club appeal. I imagine a lot of people would enjoy dancing to this. I like where they put the breaks in their songs, and then they shift in another direction. Nice. Brings you back to the origin. So that is Marquee Moon. Sorry, Lester Bangs. Rolling Stone. I was really trying very hard to agree with you about something. Any damn thing. No, this is a great song. This is an epic song. And you were wrong on all accounts, Lester Bangs. Sorry, man. I dig this song. I love everything about it. I like his vocals. I like the subject matter and what he's singing about. I like the tone of the song. I like how it carries that nice, I won't call it a somber tone, but it's a very consistent speed to it. And it unfolds later on, but along the way, it's in no hurry and you can dance to it, you can vibe to it. I'm visualizing the club atmosphere and how great this would be to dance to. And it's extended, it's long. They're saying here that some versions are as long as like 17 minutes. Perfect for that kind of a scene, man. And like I said, it tells a very interesting story. It really breaks open and takes you into the mind of the, I'm guessing it's the singer, the writer of the song, and gives you an idea of how he writes, what he likes to write about. He likes to write about personal challenges, internal challenges that he needs to overcome. That's the basis of all of these songs. So I like the song overall. The length was even good. I was worried about that I would lose my attention to it or my attraction to it because of the length. But you know what? Some songs works very well with the length of the track. And this is definitely a great example of that. Yo, man, hey, I dig this song completely. Marquee Moon. I guess out of the four, this would probably be my favorite, even though I like them all. But yeah, it's definitely got a touch of great epicness to it, man. And I can see being born over a period of time back in the 70s in the a punk rock developing club scene. I could see this probably being one of those great pinnacle songs, man. If you were back in those days, let me know if you remember this particular song, and if you were living in that area, if you were in New York at the time, let me know about this, man. That'd be cool. I know there's somebody out there who remembers this song from that period of time. So what I'm going to do here with this tune, man, is Amy sent me some song facts information. So we're finished with their bio from Pitchfork. So I'm just going to read a few little lines about the song from Song Facts, and then we're done with the reading. You're probably tired of me reading. So Marquee Moon, running 9 minutes and 58 seconds. This is television's magnus opus, renowned for the inventive interplay between guitarist Tom Verlaine and Richard Lloyd. It's the title track to their '77 debut album, but the song was years in the making. It started as an acoustic ballad Verlaine put together. The band started playing it in '74 when they were regulars at the club CBGB in New York. Television was the first to emerge from that club, which later provided a home base for Blondie, the Ramones, and the Talking Heads. They honed the song through live performance and diligent rehearsal, so when they recorded the album in '76, they had perfected it. The entire album was recorded and mixed in just 3 weeks. I wonder if the Talking Heads were inspired by television. I'm betting on all accounts that they probably were. In a Songfacts interview with Richard Lloyd, he said of this song, quote, "It's like a mini symphony. Towards the end of the song, Tom gets a long solo and he would often meander through parts of it, but we had it structured." A few months after the album was released, Television opened for Peter Gabriel on the American leg of his first solo tour. They made another album in '78, but broke up 3 months later, returning in '91 with one last album. Okay, and that's the end of Song Facts. It doesn't tell you what that last album was. And that is Song Facts, Wikipedia, and Pitchfork.com info on television. And these four really, really excellent songs, man. You know, when you talk about doing reactions to alternative songs, I hold my breath and I clinch a little bit because I say to myself, oh man, this might take my listeners way off the beaten path of classic rock. I like to always keep my heels dipped into the pool of classic rock and not go too far out because, my whole channel is based on classic rock reactions, and the viewer base is based on people liking classic rock. By my analytics, 90% of my listeners are men, age 45 to 65, 70-ish, and they embrace the classic rock era, between the 60s, 70s, and early 80s, so that time period and that classic rock sound. But I also understand too that classic rock isn't a purebred, so there are a little bit of overlap, a little bit here and there. You can give sway where it comes to the time period a little bit, maybe a little bit of sway where it comes to the sound a little bit. I'll give you an example of that. When I first started my channel, I didn't really map out exactly my parameters yet, and so there were a couple of people that came to me for reactions. For Jeff Buckley, for example, he's more of a more modern timeline alternative rock artist. Also, the White Stripes. And so now that the channel is growing and there's more subscribers coming, I find that I have to stick closer to the structure of my classic rock format because I fear that I might be stretched and pulled in too many different directions. So in considering that, Amy, thank you very much for keeping me confined to a little pocket. It overlapped a little bit, but it fit very well into my new series here, being fusion rock, as I'm going to call it, or alternative rock. So going forward, what I'm going to do in this series, you can see maybe a Jeff Buckley or a White Stripes. You can see Santana, Talking Heads, Rare Earth, sticking closer to more of a classic rock format, but sometimes with maybe an alternative touch to it, or what I call a fusion rock touch to it, like Santana and Rare Earth. So I don't want to just completely shut everybody else out, but I definitely do have to draw the line where it comes to Prince and Michael Jackson and Kool and the Gang. Just because they're musicians and their band play guitars doesn't mean that it qualifies for a reaction. So man, but this series here though, the fusion rock series, I can see it doing very, very well. And it will stretch me a little bit, but not too far out where, like I said, I'm going to alienate my subscriber base of classic rock fans. So I can see it doing very well. We'll see how it goes going forward, man. But like I said, this is the very first entrant into my fusion rock series. And I know that I've got already a couple of requests, of course, for Santana coming up. There's more Talking Heads and Peter Gabriel. Peter Gabriel is a very, very big request. So all of that will be in the body of my fusion rock series. And whenever I post one of those reactions, it's going to have the headline fusion rock or alternative rock, so that if you are a very staunch classic rock fan and you don't want to be stretched out of your parameters, you can just pass this reaction by, knowing that the next reaction will be more of like a Zeppelin or a Doors or whatever it is that might be a little bit more to your liking. But this is a way for me to not only explore, stretch myself out just a touch, but also compliment a lot of my subscriber base who, have a little bit of an overlapping desire for some fusion, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I think that it's going to basically handle both birds. You know what I'm saying? So going forward, that's what I'm going to be doing with my series. And speaking of series, man, just going down to my notes here, I've got Janis Joplin coming in the next day or two, and she's going to be kicking off my Gone Too Soon series. And along those lines, we've also got Duane Allman in that group. Of course, Hendrix and Morrison and Tommy Bolin and Randy Rhoads. So that series, I believe, is going to be a very, very big one. Because I'm sure that but just by yourself, you can probably think of dozens of artists who were just gone too soon. So I see that being a very, very big series. And we'll see what happens with my fusion rock series as we go along. I think that it's going to be big as well, you know. Anyway, man, that was my reaction to Television. They're an excellent band, and I was pleasantly surprised that they were so much closer akin to the classic rock sound than the punk rock sound. But I understand that they were one of the front runners, so they were more a rock band starting out, and that they influenced a new wave of that punk rock sound that came after them. But I like them. I like them on all fronts. They sound good, they harmonize well, great musicianship, and I really like the way they construct their music and the lyrics and the theme of their music. I really like, I believe it to be the lead singer who does the writing. I like his writing. I like the main idea of what he's writing about, always having some sort of something to overcome, challenge and overcome, and to become something better and greater than what he is. I like that. So overall, man, you got an A grade on this one, Amy. Thanks very much. I appreciate it. So, oh yeah, and the other thing too, just looking at my second note, I have completed Houses of the Holy for Led Zeppelin. So I'm going to be starting Physical Graffiti in the next day or two, and I can't remember what the first track is called, but I'm going to be starting Led Zeppelin's Physical Graffiti. Excuse me, where are we? We're at the weekend right now. So probably Monday or Tuesday. And I'm just going to ask you guys to get on to sending me your recommendations for Artist of the Month as soon as you can. Where are we? We're at the 27th. So I'd like to get to know who the Artist of the Month as soon as you can think of, and maybe send me some recommendations, because as far as I'm looking at now, just over half of you have sent me your recommendations, so I need for all of you to send me your recommendations. So please do that right away. All right, man. Thank you very much. Thank you, Amy. And I hope you enjoyed this first of my fusion alternative rock reactions. There'll be more of this to come. So thank you and take care. Have a good weekend, and I'll catch you in my next reaction. Peace.